I think that on offense, the Niners should be fine. But you have to remember, I know people are really high on Jimmy, but at the same time, you have to remember that this team so far they're kicking a lot of threes, for lack of a better way of putting it. They're not converting in the red zone. Yeah. Robbie Gould has been super busy. I mean, if you go back and look at that Bears game, you look at the Titans game, those are both, Robbie's kicking 4 or 5 field goals a game.
Are you listening?
Damn.
Ronbo Sports here, representing the Niner Empire organization worldwide. I'm pumped because I'm wearing 49er football. Never ends. It's time. It's time. As Vader would say, it's time. It's 49er time. Bam. Season's gotten underway, and I just hope we can continue where we left off last season, the 49ers winning 5 games in a row to end the season. I want to see Jimmy G pass Big Ben Roethlisberger. I want to see him get 10 or 15. I think Roethlisberger did 13 or 14, 15 games. Ooh, that's asking for a lot. But all he's got to do is win 10 in a row. That's all he's got to do. 10 in a row, and we're in. Because I got to tell you right now, fam, those games the 49ers played, remember, they won all those games with 19 guys on the IR. That says something about the 49ers right there. And we're not talking about a cakewalk schedule. Well, with the exception of the Rams being on the schedule. And 3 of the 5 teams were playoff teams. And of course, after the 49ers beat them, each and every one of the playoff teams' apologists came attacking every 49er. Our teams were not serious about playing the 49ers. We already secured a place in the playoffs, and there was no need to come out and risk injury. Oh, sell that myth somewhere else. If the 49ers were such a lowly team, why would your team want to come in and embarrass themselves by losing to them just on the edge of going to the playoffs? That doesn't look good. Not a good look at all. So I'm not buying that one at all. The 49ers, Jimmy G, with players from the depth chart, rookies, are out there schooling 5 teams, and as I mentioned, 3 of them were playoff teams. Better believe the 49ers are ready to play some football. This is why you have to marvel at Jimmy G, because he did that with players that he had no business being able to do that with. He did it with a playbook that he knew a little about. He rehearsed some plays and they came in and they got it done. Oh, I love me some Jimmy G. And now, some of the guys I'm talking about, some of the 19, they're going to be side by side with Jimmy G. Some of those rookies I was talking about, they've got a year under their belt. They're not rookies anymore. They know what they're doing. And you know what the best thing about all of this is? They've all grown and matured under Kyle Shanahan's tutelage. They know the playbook. They know everything they need to know, just about, because I'm pretty sure Kyle Shanahan's playbook is kind of complicated. So there's probably a lot of things they still can learn. But the fact of the matter is, they are battle tested. And now they've got weapons, serious weapons. And they will be on the attack with one of the best offensive minds in football. And one of the quarterbacks that may go down in history as one of the best. I don't care about being premature on that judgment. Jimmy G has got the it factor. And it will stay that way. I would bet big on it. So looking into this season, I'm feeling like, look out, NFL. Here we come. Now, there is one thing that it does concern me, though. Yes, we lost Jerick McKinnon. There are those who don't completely understand Kyle Shanahan's vision. They think Jerick McKinnon was a waste of money. They think that he is not a feature back. I just want to explain a little bit, and I'm not going to preach there. I just want to explain a little bit about that vision that Kyle had. You see, his offense is a lot of cloak and dagger. Kyle Shanahan uses the element of surprise and confusion a lot. Jerick McKinnon could provide that. The diversity in his game. When Jerick McKinnon lines up on the other side of the line of scrimmage, defenses have no idea what's about to happen. Jerick McKinnon can run between the tackles in spite of what people believe. He can run very well between them. If the blocking's right, Jerick McKinnon's going to scoot through there really quick. He also can run routes. Jerick McKinnon is that weapon that can run route and equally can run the ball. He is the ultimate weapon. Whereas we have the OW and Kyle Juszczyk, we got the UW. Jerick McKinnon, we won't get to see him this year. It is unfortunate, but Matt Breida, Alfred Morris, they may be able to compensate fairly. But the bad thing is now defenses know what's going to happen. They look at Alfred Morris, they know it's going to be a run. He's not famous for going out and getting passes. It could be Matt Breida. I got a feeling Kyle Shanahan's going to try to bring him up to speed on some of the things he was trying to do with Jerick McKinnon. He really should. Because Breida's got the speed. His hands may not be quite that of Jerick McKinnon. He may not be able to run route quite as well because that was not the role that we heard he was going to play coming into this season. But he has the tools, and he's got Jerick's going to be working on the sideline. He's not going anywhere. He'll be watching. He'll be telling every time Matt comes off the field, I'm sure he's going to be right in his face. So we have that. And fam, what? You believe in miracles? The hand that fate dealt the 49ers. Alfred Morris. If the 49ers are going to get a running back of that style, this is the perfect guy. Alfred Morris, the Cowboys released him last year. He's sitting around just working out, staying in shape in case he gets a call. This is an all-pro running back. How is it that nobody called him? But he fits Kyle Shanahan's system like a glove. We saw him, what he did. He comes in with very little training and practice with the team. He plays against the Colts in the rehearsal game. 17 carries. He played a little bit over a half. 17 carries, 84 yards. What? The offensive line was working for him. He was tiptoeing between the tackles like, it was a thing of beauty. What's he going to look like in a couple of weeks? This is why I say, do you believe in miracles? How in the hell did we get Alfred Morris? And just in time. There's a destiny for the 49ers this year. I can feel it. So the 49ers go into the season, Alfred Morris, Matt Breida, and look for Breida to bust out because he knows the load he's carrying. He knows that he is going to have to compensate for what's happening with Jerick McKinnon. I'm just saying, it looks awfully good. Look, from that point on, I figure like this. There is no real reason to be concerned. We'll be fine. Richard Sherman on the Adam Schefter podcast. Adam, of course, asked him, Rich, what are the 49ers' chances this year? And Rich says they're excellent. All we need to be concerned with is health. If all our guys stay healthy for a 16-game schedule, we'll be fine. The 49ers will have them back to looking like they should be looking. Schefter, of course, is a little blown away. He says, Rich, realistically, what are your chances for the playoffs? You know, everybody, realistically, what are your chances for the playoffs? Rich says our chances are fine. And once you get to the playoffs, anything can happen. Yeah! Tell him, Rich! You tell him! Can't wait for this game against Minnesota. Oh, like usual though, I got a special guest for you. Yeah. Let's go to Cam right now. I want to introduce you to him right now. Niner fam, as I just got through talking about, if you've not had a chance yet to see Document 49, I have. The creator of The Rise, Fall, and Rebirth of the San Francisco 49ers. It's an intriguing title, isn't it? The whole concept was conceived by the gentleman you're looking at, Nicholas Sheldon. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, sir. How are you? Thank you for having me on.
Oh, I appreciate it, Nicholas. You know, I remember we talked a while back before you were embarking on the project at that time. You hadn't gotten really into it yet, but you already had visualized what you were going to do. You knew where you were going with this. And I had no idea it was going to be like this. This is so dramatic. It's one of the best podcasts on the 49ers that I've heard. I'm serious. I'm not just saying that just to be saying it.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much.
I mean, and fam, if you haven't, check it out. It's Document 49. Check that out first. You'll see the iTunes. You'll first hear it you get this rush because Nick goes back in time. And, well, Nick, let Nick tell you about it. Nick, tell me about your project, man.
It's basically the story of the 49ers from 2004 to today. Starting in 2004, basically when the team was at its lowest point, coming off the 2-14 season with Dennis Erickson as head coach, and then seeding into the hiring of Mike Nolan as head coach, the hiring of Scott McCloughan as at that time he was VP of player personnel, but eventually became the general manager, and then also the drafting of Alex Smith. And then that was also at this time was also the introduction of Parag Marate as kind of he kind of stepped into the spotlight a little bit more than he had been in terms of him being involved with the franchise as well. But it's starting at that point, and it's basically looking at the progression of events going from the beginning with Nolan and Alex and seeing through Mike Singletary and into the Harbaugh years, and it's basically following that progression of events and the players that were added and the events that happened. Reaching the pinnacle, which was, of course, where the show starts with Super Bowl 47 in New Orleans, where, of course, the 49ers were 5 yards away from their 6th Super Bowl championship. And then from there, there was one last gasp in 2013, or in 2014, the playoffs in 2013.
Right.
And, of course, current 49er Richard Sherman had a hand in that. And then, of course, after that was 2014, which was a year that was disappointing, controversial, and led to eventually the 49ers and Jim Harbaugh agreeing to mutually part ways. And then of course we know what happened after, which was two questionable head coaching hires that led to some of the I guess the Chip Kelly year was bad. It's really bad 49ers football. I don't want to go to the extent of saying it's the worst in history, but it was really bad. And then now the rebirth, which is, of course, we're hoping that Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch, and Jimmy Garoppolo and the rest of the roster are going to bring back the winning tradition to the San Francisco 49ers. That remains to be seen. Originally, the show was actually, the podcast was originally just called The Rise and the Fall. And I had actually had it titled that way. And then, of course, on Halloween of 2017, you know what happened. Our football savior came to San Francisco in the name of James Garoppolo. So that's when I was like, okay, well, there's definitely a change in sentiment with the fan base right now. And then there's a lot more optimism. So that's when I decided to call it the Rise, Fall, and Rebirth for San Francisco. Now, whether or not they keep their end of the bargain on that remains to be seen. But I'm hoping they do. I mean, we're all hoping they do.
Oh yeah.
But we'll see.
And when you do watch this, or I should say, listen to it.
Listen, everybody's been like, "Is it a documentary?" I'm like, no, it's like an audio documentary.
It's an audio documentary though, because I'm telling you right now, fam, when you listen to this, you're gonna get the voices involved. You're gonna get. You think about Michael Singletary, some of the things he said. There's various beat writers around town that are involved. It's all produced and stuck together in such a way you can't stop listening. You're sitting there and you wait. It was too short. We want more, okay? I understand you get, well, first, let me ask you this, though, because I got a kick out of it. First of all, I was first abused by the book of, every coach was the book of, right? So now I guess we got the book of Kyle, which I was thinking to myself, I said, that sounds good.
The book of Shanahan.
The book of Shanahan, it sounds even better, right? It's good
stuff. The book of Lynch and Shanahan, I guess.
I know, right? They got to share that. Normally, even the head coach is the guy. But these guys are so linked together in what they do. You got to give it a tool. You got to give it a dual name. You're right. So. They're both joined at the hip, of course, as you know, for 6 years. So, and of course, what Jimmy has, I believe it's a 5-year contract. But I mean, hopefully longer. But yeah, no, the next 5 years ish of 49ers football are definitely gonna be interesting. God, do you know what the salaries are gonna be like when they renew his contract? Jimmy G, if he has the success we predict, his salary could go well over $200 million.
I mean, in total, we'll see. What's funny is that, again, Yeah, no, I mean, again, like what's funny with the quarterbacks is that, everybody wants to pay their quarterback the most because, it's the market value, it's everything else. So it's the number just keeps going up. Whether or not you think that Matt Ryan is better than a Kirk Cousins or Jimmy Garoppolo, Matt Ryan still got paid X amount of dollars.
Right.
And it's just like, that's the market value. We had the same, Colin Kaepernick's contract wasn't a big one when it happened. But even then people were like, how are they paying Colin this much? It's like, well, it's the market value.
Yeah.
It's the way you respond to the way the market goes.
And it was incentive based. I mean, things were there, and he had to reach them, and of course he would have got paid. You know what though? I'm curious about, and I was so amused by the section of Jed York's. He won't. I don't know who engineered and designed that stadium, but fans, is winning going to help fans appreciate sitting out in that heat as they're sitting out there now, and they will be for the next month? Will that reduce the anger about how that thing was designed out of Levi's? I mean, can you see it?
Like you're in the first episode, winning is the best cure for everything. And I think when the team's winning and when the team's, when the team's interesting to watch, it changes a lot of the sentiment. And there's a difference between, of course, winning and interesting. But I was there, the last time I was there was in 2015, and it was in September, and it was Packers-Niners. Kaepernick did not have a good game. And it was, I think it was 17-10, which is not a very exciting game. And when there's not interesting football happening at the very least, it's very easy. You get hot, you get aggravated. And I think with the way, when the team's not playing well, again, the tensions rise and people are not as excited to be there. I think this year there's a lot more to look forward to. And I think that things will ease up a little bit in Levi's and people will be a little more, willing to sit in the heat. The NFL has done them a kind of a service in that they've tried. It seems like they're trying not to schedule more than one home game in September. And they're all. If you look at the schedule this year, you'll notice that that it's. I believe they're. I don't have it in front of me, but I believe they're only home once in September. I know they go down to San Diego in the fourth week of September. But yeah, and otherwise the NFL's trying to do them a favor and also give them primetime games. In
not early in the afternoon, please. Exactly. Oh, by the way, and Jed York has also dropped the ball. I believe the cost of water now.
I saw that.
It's been reduced.
That's good. It's any way to make it easier for the fans to watch the game.
Gosh. And by the way, Nick, this is like a learning experience. And you go far back with Jed when he was just a kid, when his father had no business in putting him in charge anyway. He was manipulated, in my opinion, by a bulky anyway. But Jed's growth and progression and his education down to the last few years, he's got this thing on an upward trajectory. People still don't want to give him any love. But do you think that he's learned now? Has he benefited in such a way that we can expect not to all of a sudden hit reverse and go back the other way again anytime soon?
I think so. I think we're talking about a couple different things here because we're talking about the stadium and then we're talking about him as an owner. I think, that's the stadium. They're always going to try to do their best to give the fans the best experience. The price of tickets and the price of concessions, that will always be the cost of living in California is more than Atlanta, and Atlanta has very cheap concessions. It's like it's unfortunately it's business, and that's the way it works.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if there's a way to improve that, but that's just the way it is for now. In terms of being an owner and in terms of his involvement in the organization, it's a complex question because I think that yes, when you say learned his lesson, I don't know if it's a lesson to be learned necessarily. I think that the trifecta or quadfecta, or basically of Trent Baalke, Jim Harbaugh, Jed York, and Parag Marathe, and anybody else in that organization who was in the front office. I think from what I've found is that during that time, it was not meant to last. And I don't think, again, a lot of fans think that it was a Trent Baalke or Jim Harbaugh decision. One had to go, one had to stay. And I don't think that was the case. I think that the case was Jim was a very difficult person to get along with. He was an excellent head coach, but a very aggressive person in terms of he knows what he wants, he goes after it, and you better get on board, because if you're not on board, we're going to find somebody else that can. And I think that people always say, oh, Jim Harbaugh has a shelf life and it's like 4 years or whatever. And I'm not necessarily sure that's true, but I think that Jim was going full steam ahead, doing everything he could that he thought to make that team great. And I think that he, at a certain point, was just like, you're in my way, you're in my way. And at a certain point, Jed York looked at it and was like, well, Trent Baalke's doing his job, and you can argue whether or not he's picking good players, but as in his job, he was doing what he was supposed to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Parag Marathe was doing his job. Jed York was running the team. Jim Harbaugh is pushing against anyone. You'll hear this in the episode that Jim had conflicts with pretty much everyone. And at a certain point, you have to say, these guys are doing their job. I can't get rid of them. So what am I supposed to do? And this isn't working. Like, this is not a healthy relationship. So the argument is, of course, could Jed have made it work? Because they have all sat down and made it work. And that's the thing that, I don't know. That is something that I'm not sure about in terms of were there efforts made? Could there have been more to be done? But I just think it was time.
No,
and unfortunately.
And you cleared that up because this is why when people hate on Jed, it wasn't Jed. He was sitting back in a position where he could do anything but watch them do what they did. And then, of course, he acted at the end of the year like he always does. But on a couple of occasions, he made it worse by picking up Tom Sewell as his head coach. And, of course, we know about Chip Kelly. And I still feel sorry for Chip Kelly. I still think Chip Kelly could have been a better coach had Baalke just worked with him and gave him the players that he asked him for. That's another long story. But because what I want to know now, though, your assessment of this game coming up against the Vikings.
Okay. So I don't think you're gonna like my answer.
Because you know me, right? I hate bad news. Okay, you know what though? I'm willing to listen to logic. Give it to me. We can take it.
Okay, so I mean, because I don't want to be seen as negative, but the Vikings are simply a better team on both sides of the ball. They have a better defense by far, and their offense. You could make an argument there, but they're in general, especially with the loss of McKinnon. It's kind of hard to say what Jet would have been in this offense, but with the loss of McKinnon, now you're working with Alf and Matt Breida, and the playbook has got to change and adjust for what their skill sets are, and they have to they've had probably this game plan installed for weeks, and now it's like, okay, well, now we got Alfred Morrison at running back, so that has to be changed. But really the biggest challenge for the 49ers is going to be for their defense, first of all, which I don't think is one of the NFL's better units. I think they're about 4 or 5 solid players in that defense. A bunch of guys who are in progress and could become solid players.
And Reuben Foster missing.
Yeah, exactly. But then again, like, this team does not have currently doesn't have an answer at pass rush. Now that could be remedied by the fact that the Vikings are dealing with injuries on the offensive line, and they're very much in flux there. So you could see a lot of pressure that normally wouldn't be applied by the 49ers defense. But if they can't get a pass rush, you're going to see Kirk Cousins be able to move around and make big completions down the field, especially, Richard Sherman, we all think he's going to lock down one side, but you have to remember Richard Sherman played in a top 5 offense for his entire career in Seattle, except for last year. So he had a pass rush. I mean, you go back to Nate Clements being on the 49ers. When we got Nate Clements in 2007, people were like, okay, Nate Clements is going to lock down one side of the field. Problem's over. Problem is we didn't have a pass rush. Yeah. So as good or bad as you thought Nate Clements was, when you had, I love both of them as people, and they were good players. They weren't great players. You had Paris Harrelson on one side, and you had Manny Lawson on the other side. And until we got Alden and Ahmad Brooks, the passing was still a free reign down the field in 2007. If you go back, what I'm saying is they don't have a pass. The 49ers do not have a strong pass rush, and that is going to. And furthermore, I worry about the run defense too. I love those big guys up front in Armstead, Thomas, and Buckner, but we haven't seen it yet where they can stop the run consistently. So that's the part I worry about. On offense, should be generally okay. It's a top defensive unit, but of course, Jimmy Garoppolo is capable of amazing things.
And you got Kyle Shanahan behind him. That's
exactly
a giant mind.
And he also knows Kirk Cousins very well.
Oh, so I'd forgotten about that part. Yeah.
Yeah, no, they in Washington, I'm going to assume that Kyle still knows all his weaknesses, especially considering that he was almost a member of the 49ers, right, give or take. But yeah, no, I think that on offense the Niners should be fine, but you have to remember, I know people are really high on Jimmy, but at the same time, you have to remember that this team so far they're kicking a lot of threes, for lack of a better way of putting it. They're not converting in the red zone. Yeah. Robbie Gould has been super busy. I mean, if you go back and look at that Bears game, you look at the Titans game, those are both, Robbie's kicking 4 or 5 field goals a game. Yeah. So it's just, I see a lot of challenges, and I don't think the Niners are going to win in week 1. The defense is too good, and it's on the road.
Give me the damages. And I mean, how bad is it going to be? I mean, is it going to be a close game? Is it going to be 4 quarters of football? I mean, is it going to be?
I think it'll definitely be 4 quarters. I would put it 27-20 or 27-23 Vikings. I think it'll be close. I have faith in Kyle and Jimmy to manufacture offense, period. Yeah. It's just a matter of how, if they can stop the Vikings. And I could be completely wrong that the Niners
and might I hope be great you are, Nick, but it just, everything you're saying is rational. Though I mean, they are better than the 49ers as far as personnel goes on both sides of the ball. But, it is a football.
I mean, they're a 6.5 point favorite now. So, I mean.
The Vikings?
Yeah, ooh. 6.5 points. It opened this summer at 4.5, I believe. And
the McKinnon factor.
If it was in,
they added probably points. They probably added, because when McKinnon went down, they probably added a couple more points, thinking he was going to have that much. Yeah, because it started out at 4.
Usually don't see too much of a line move that far for one player unless it's like a really elite player.
Yeah, what are they basing that on then? I mean, how did that kind of an increase come up?
I mean, mostly because it was set in the summer. So I think that you just have a different idea of what the team's going to look like. And then they look at the roster cut downs and they kind of try to gauge. But week 1's always kind of funny because, again, like Kirk Cousins has never played for the Vikings before. So you don't know how that's going to look. And I mean, there's a lot of new players for the 49ers this year. It's like, maybe Fred Warner comes out and plays an amazing game. You never know.
It's asking a lot, but
so we'll see. This is not the 2 games after that, 3 games after that. I feel better, but this one's a big challenge. Mostly because it's on the road and it's against a team that's great on both sides of that.
Almost went to the Super Bowl last year, so it's going to be a challenge. Well, Nick, I tell you what, and I understand EP2 is still in the shop. I mean, when can we expect that out to be released?
Yeah, originally I was going to have it out by tomorrow, but you were sick last week, right?
You know what? It was, Nick, it was from over screaming. I tend to be like a little more emotional than I should be for my throat, right? So I lost it. Yeah, I couldn't talk. I was okay, but I just couldn't talk. But I understand your
I thought I might have caught your cold, but I guess not. But I got sick last week, so I'm just now starting to feel better. So originally I was going to have it out tomorrow, but it's looking like it's going to be Friday. And of course it's called Who's Got It Better.
There you go. So Who's Got It Better?
So check it out.
To say that, we got to come up with a new one though, Nick. Now that we're past Harbaugh era, we got to come up with one for this era too. I guess we got to start winning football first.
That's got to be organic though. That's got to come from someone naturally on the team or someone from because that was so special that it was it was Jim's thing and it was something that he said to his family. I think that's the one thing I'll leave on is that I thought that era was very, very special. No matter what you think of Jim now or Colin or Alex or any of the players that have come and gone, those 3 years to me were so special. I don't want to be a downer, but we might not see as good a football as that for a very long time. When you have 9 Pro Bowlers on a team and it's crazy. It was a very special time, and that's what I hope people get out of it. They remember it's a very special time, and it didn't last for various reasons. And
there it is.
Onward we go.
It's called Document 49. Search that, you'll find it. The rise, fall, and rebirth of the San Francisco 49ers. Nick does an awesome
check out
job.
iTunes. It's on iTunes, and it's iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher. You'll find it. But if you go to document49.com, all the links are there.
Okay, good. If you watch the screen, you'll see all that stuff being flashed up there. Nick,
good.
Hey, Nick, you know what? There you go. Nick, you know what time it is, don't you? You got to give me the holler out, man. I'm going to give you a 3, 2, 1, 3.
Hold on, I got it.
You got to get it away. All right, there you go. I don't blame you. I do that all the time. And usually on hot liquids, too. All right, you ready, Nick?
Yeah, I've had a cold. This is gonna be good. So I do this by myself.
I'm gonna give you a countdown so you get pumped up. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1.
Niners!
And Nick says he's not feeling well. Now, I've got to get him when he's feeling good to see what he's like.
Feeling better. but yeah, I give him my best.
Thanks, Nick. Thank you, Nick. Fam, I'm serious. Check out Document 49. It will take you back. Some scenes and things that you'll remember immediately. Nick does a great job on that. I call it the Docu Podcast. Or say, okay, the DocuCast. All right? You can catch it up. You can get it on iTunes or any other places else that we posted up. All right? But Nick. Nick, Nick, I can't go along with you on the game coming up this weekend, though. Nah, I can't. I love this time of year because now I get to make my predictions. And you know me, fam, you'll rarely catch me. I may say I'm afraid or something like that, but I ain't going to say the 49ers are going to lose this game against the Minnesota Vikings. Number one, I got solid reason to believe that the 49ers will be just fine. First of all, you got Kirk Cousins coming into a new situation. He has to adapt to his new teammates and a new system. Kirk Cousins is notorious for starting off each and every year for the last 3 years for sure, of starting off a little slow. You look at Jimmy G, on the other hand. G has been with these guys now for half a season before now, and they've had a chance to study the playbook. He knows all his players' names now, unlike he did at the end of last season. Advantage 49ers. The defense is looking a lot better, too. I really do think Kirk Cousins goes down this weekend about 3 times. He is not Andrew Luck. He is not Geno Smith. His ability to escape will be a little different. I really think the 49ers are going to put a net on him because he's been coming around. I like the rush. 49ers, 23-17. W time. From there on, this don't tell me what's going to happen. I tell you what, I've been looking for red and gold, and I'm going to get your predictions as well. We're going to get on up out of here. Hey, wait, whoa. Don't you forget to hit that like, subscribe, and share. I'll be in your face. I'll tell you more about that anyway. You know I'll be in your face at your place come game time. Count me down.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.